Alright guys, welcome back to JFabe Wrestling. We're on the journey to rebooking every WrestleMania. Now we're at WrestleMania 36. WrestleMania 36, also known as, the WrestleMania with no fans. Obviously, this took place during COVID-19 pandemic era. So, it is what it is. It took place on April 4 and 5. That's when it was aired, but I guess they actually did it on March 25th and 26th. That's when they filmed it. Took place in the WWE Performance Center and attendance of 0. And this was the first time they did 2 nights of WrestleMania. And here we go. On the card, we got Cesaro defeating Drew Gulak on the pre-show. And then the opener for night 1, Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross defeat the Kabuki Warriors to win the the Women's Tag Team Championship. Aliester defeating King Corbin. Becky Lynch defeated Shayna Baszler to retain her Raw Women's Championship. Sami Zayn defeated Daniel Bryan to retain his Intercontinental Championship. John Morrison defeated Jimmy Uso and Kofi Kingston to retain the tag titles for him and The Miz in a ladder match. Kevin Owens defeated Seth Rollins in a no DQ match. Braun Strowman defeated Goldberg to win the WWE Universal Championship. The Undertaker defeated AJ Styles in a Boneyard match, and that was to cap off night 1. And night 2, we had Liv Morgan defeating Natalya by pinfall. We got Charlotte Flair defeating Rhea Ripley to win the Women's NXT Championship. Aliester Black defeated Bobby Lashley. Otis defeated Dolph Ziggler. Edge defeated Randy Orton in a last man standing match. The Street Profits defeat Angel Garza and Austin Theory to retain the tag team championships, the Raw Tag Team Championships. Bayley defeated Sasha Banks, Lacey Evans, Naomi, and Tamina in a fatal 5-way to retain her SmackDown Women's Championship. The Fiend defeated John Cena in a Firefly Funhouse match. And Drew McIntyre defeated Brock Lesnar to win the WWE Championship. And we got a dark match, Drew McIntyre defeating The Big Show. So obviously looking at this WrestleMania, WWE kind of did what they can here. They tried some new things by having a couple cinematic matches, which is pretty cool. The Undertaker and AJ Styles was fun. Even the Cena Wyatt stuff was pretty cool. And they had pretty decent women's matches. I think Becky and Shayna was the right way to go. Result probably would have changed there. Charlotte and Rhea, it was a good match as well. And what else we have here? Drew winning the title was cool for him. Braun winning, it was a cool moment. Obviously it was supposed to be Braun versus Roman, but it was still a cool moment there. Kevin Owens and Seth Rollins had a really good match. Edge and Randy, it went a little too long, and there was obviously some weird matches on here as well. Like Aliester Black versus Bobby Lashley, Elias versus King Corbin. Some of these matches had no build. But they kind of worked what they can. Obviously, a few people got COVID. I think it was like The Miz, Rey Mysterio. And but I'm going to try to make this card better. So let's get into it right now. All right, I'm just going to divide this here with Raw matches and then SmackDown matches here. So the first match, we got the Kabuki Warriors defending against Charlotte and Rhea Ripley. So I have something different here. I wasn't a fan of Charlotte, challenging for the NXT Championship here. And I thought it kind of made Rhea look weak. But I think this feud here makes sense because Charlotte was feuding with the Kabuki Warriors. So, the Kabuki Warriors can kind of beat down Charlotte a bit. And she said, I found a partner to finally beat you at WrestleMania. And it's Rhea Ripley. And Rhea and Charlotte could win the women's tag belts here, and this can slowly build a feud between them. So I think this would be a cool moment, and I think it's a much better team than Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross. All right, next up we got the Raw Tag Team Championship match. We got the Viking Raiders versus the Street Profits. So these two had a lot of fun vignettes in the back where they're doing like different competitions and stuff, seeing who's better. So they could continue to do that here in the build. The Street Profits can, dress as Vikings in a funny segment there. And the Viking Raiders could come out with like red cups so they can trying to impersonate each other here. So we got two young teams here. And I know the Street Profits, they came in as the champions, but I would actually still have the belts on the Viking Raiders here. And this is where I would crown the Street Profits. And I think it'd be a really good match. All right, next up we got the United States Championship match, Bobby Lashley versus Ricochet. So, yeah, I would have Bobby win the belt. I'm not sure who's the champion at this time, but I have him win the belt with help from MVP. So they're slowly starting to hurt business, and Bobby says, we should recruit Ricochet. And Ricochet says, he doesn't go down like that. If he wins, he's gonna do it on his own. So you could have Bobby and MVP kind of beat up on Ricochet here, and you could have Ricochet defeat MVP on like the go home Raw to get some momentum. So yeah, I think this would be a good match. You got a nice combination here. You got the big power guy versus the quick cruiserweight, and yeah, I would give Bobby Lashley the win here because I think the Hurt Business was pretty hot. Maybe you could this is where you can debut Cedric or Shelton to help Bobby get the win here. All right, next up we got the Raw Women's Championship match. And yeah, I would actually have Shayna Baszler be the one to win the Royal Rumble rather than Charlotte. I just think, Shayna, she had a lot of momentum. So I think, her not winning the Rumble and then losing to Becky, I think really hurt her momentum. But I think if she won the Royal Rumble, her momentum would continue. And yeah, you can have the same feud here where, Shayna can talk about how, Becky talks like she's a tough girl, but I'm the toughest there is. And you could even have an injury angle where, Shayna kind of injures Becky's arm going into the match. And Becky could talk about how, she's the man. She says she got rid of Ronda Rousey. It's time to get rid of another MMA, wannabe wrestler. And yeah, I think this is the match where you crown Shayna. Becky was gonna leave anyways as she was pregnant. So, and to this day, Shayna has never had the same momentum as she has. So I think giving Shayna the win here is a smart idea, and then you could have her feud with Asuka down the line. All right, next up we got a fun match here: Randy Orton versus Aliester Black. So yeah, Alister Black he can continue to do this, come knock at my door, someone challenge me in the ring, and from behind, Randy RKO's Alister Black. And yeah, Randy could talk about how, I'm not afraid of Alister Black because you know what, I've been in darker places compared to who Alister Black is. And yeah, they could do a couple of sneak attacks here. Alister could hit a black mass on Randy one week. Randy could hit a RKO on Alister Black, and Alister Black could talk about how the one thing he hates is snakes, and that he's gonna get rid of this poison in the WWE here. So you got two kind of dark characters here, and I think it'll be a really good match. And yeah, I would actually give Alister Black the win here. Hindsight being 2020, obviously he didn't stay much longer, but he's still around, and he was he had potential to be a big star. And they can continue the feud down the line here. All right, next up we got Edge versus Seth Rollins. So, yeah, I would do the same thing with Edge returning at the Royal Rumble. I would have Edge eliminate Seth Rollins in the match. And, yeah, the next week on Raw, Seth Rollins can, come out and say Edge should thank him because that day in 2014, I could have ended his career and he would have never returned. And Edge says, yeah, one of the reasons he came back is and he spears Seth Rollins. He's like, to face you and get my revenge. And yeah, I know they had this feud like the next year, but I would do it now just because I think here makes sense. Obviously, we didn't know the situation it was going to be in. We'd rather have it, with the fans. But yes, Edge could talk about how Seth is trying to copy his whole career, trying to be, the new ultimate opportunist. But Seth can say, I used to want to be like Edge, but now I want to be Seth Rollins. I want to be, the only Seth Rollins because I know Seth Rollins is better than Edge. And you could have Edge kind of take out, Seth Rollins' boys, Buddy Murphy with a concerto, and then take out AOP as well. So, yeah, I think this would be a really good match. And I think you got to give Edge the feel-good victory in his return. All right, next up we got Kevin Owens versus Triple H. So yeah, after Kevin Owens loses the Rumble, I could have Triple H come out and say, he's been disappointed in Kevin. ever since that, he handed him the Universal Championship. He hasn't done nothing. And Kevin Owens can, hit Triple H with a stunner and say, you know what, he doesn't need Triple H's approval. He knows he's great. And he actually hates Triple H for giving him the belt, because now people think, he doesn't want to work hard, he doesn't want to fight, but that's all he does. He wants to fight. And they could have some great promos here where Triple H can talk about, I created NXT. Without me, there'd be no Kevin Owens, and Kevin Owens could talk about how, he's been underlooked his whole career here, and that's why it took him how many years to get hired by you, Triple H, but I'm going to prove that you made a big mistake by not hiring me earlier. So yeah, they can have some great promos here, and this would be a good match. And obviously, this would be Triple H's last match here. And I know probably Triple H ideally didn't want to wrestle in front of no fans, but this match would have been made before that. So I still think it just makes sense in the progression of Kevin Owens to, kind of go back to his past and prove that, he didn't really need Triple H's help, and that, he can be his own man. All right. The main event of the evening, we got Brock Lesnar versus Drew McIntyre here. So yeah, I would have Drew McIntyre win the Royal Rumble. I wouldn't have Brock in the Royal Rumble though. To me, that was kind of weird having the champion in the Rumble. Brock could have his own defense there. And the next night on Raw, Drew can choose Brock. And then they could shake hands. Brock tries to go for the F5. Drew goes for the Claymore. And yeah, you could have just some great promos with Drew and Paul Heyman, how, Drew McIntyre was dubbed the Chosen One, but isn't it ironic that Brock Lesnar's the real Chosen One? He debuted and he won the title in the same year. And when did you debut, Drew? And how many world titles have you won? And then Drew could talk about how, Brock's great, but he's been handed a lot of things that he's never received. And he could talk about how this is his redemption, how he had to leave the company to come back, and now he's going to prove to the company that they made a big mistake and that he's a big star. So yeah, you could have nice couple brawls here between Drew and Brock, a couple sneak attacks with the F5s and the Claymore kick. You could even have Drew on the go-home show, Claymore Paul Heyman, so that'll be some nice heat there. And obviously the match was what it was. I wish, they would probably have a couple of different moves than what we got in real life. But, yeah, I think this is where you crown Drew McIntyre. And, despite no crowd, it was still a great moment for Drew. All right, next up, we got the SmackDown Tag Team Championship match. We have John Morrison and Dolph Ziggler versus Heavy Machinery. So, ideally, I would have had Bobby Roode and Dolph versus Heavy Machinery. But I believe Bobby Roode was stuck in Canada. So, yeah, and, I felt it kind of weird having, singles match for tag team belts, that, to me, that was kind of weird. So, and The Miz was obviously out. So, Dolph can ask John Morrison to be his partner for one night only to defend against Heavy Machinery here. And yeah, you have the same build here with, Mandy Rose and Otis and Dolph Ziggler, trying to steal Mandy Rose from Otis. And you got Sonya Deville there kind of being, jealous and hating on Otis. So, yeah, you could have all that here. And you could have Mandy finally turn, slap Dolph Ziggler, and Heavy Machinery could get the nice feel-good win here. All right, next up we got the Intercontinental Championship match here. We got a rematch of a classic. We got Sami Zayn defending against Shinsuke Nakamura. So Shinsuke Nakamura, obviously he was aligned with Sami Zayn here. They could have a match for the tag titles. Nakamura could accidentally Kinshasa Sami Zayn, and that's when Sami Zayn slaps Shinsuke, and that's when Shinsuke, kind of snaps and turns on him. And Sami says, he didn't need Shinsuke at all anyways to keep his Intercontinental Championship. And then Shinsuke, the next week, can show footage of NXT Dallas, and he says, are you sure? Last time I checked, you can't beat me. And Nakamura could say, the only reason you wanted me to be with you on your side is because, if I was on the other side, you would not be the Intercontinental Champion. And Sami could talk about how, that was all a fluke, and, Shinsuke got lucky, and that, he wasn't prepared. But he says, you know what, I challenge you at WrestleMania. to prove that, I can beat Shinsuke Nakamura. And yeah, I think this would be a really good match here. Obviously, no crowds will be a little different, but man, their chemistry was amazing. And I'll actually give Sammy the win here. He can, maybe like hold on to the ropes or something after countering a Kinshasa. So yeah, Sammy finally gets his win on Shinsuke to retain the IC belt. All right, next up we got the Big Show versus Baron Corbin. So yeah, I would have not much of a build here. Have Baron Corbin be dominating guys, coming into WrestleMania. And he says, you know what? I want a challenge at WrestleMania. I want the biggest challenge. I have an open challenge to anyone who accepts. And yeah, out comes the Big Show. Obviously he was on, he was there because he fought Drew McIntyre right after WrestleMania, which was kind of weird to me. You might as well have Big Show in a match here. And obviously this kind of Big Show's, farewell match here against Baron Corbin. He would leave the company shortly after. So yeah, have Big Show get a nice feel-good win here. He's a veteran. And he deserved a nice moment at WrestleMania. All right, next up we got the SmackDown Women's Championship, which I would actually have main event one of the nights, actually. I would actually have Sasha, win the Elimination Chamber here. And you know what? I'm kind of retracting saying Shayna should win the Rumble. Maybe Sasha will win the Rumble. Shayna could win the Elimination Chamber, whatever. But Sasha would win the Rumble here. And, Bayley would say, you know what? You should challenge Asuka, so we could both be women's champion. And yeah, Sasha would be down for that. She's like, yeah, sure, we're besties. But then, you could hear Bayley like talking trash to other heels, about Sasha, saying, this is for her own good because she won't be able to beat me. Think about 2015 when I beat her. And yeah, you could have the classic, Sasha's around the corner and she could hear it. And on the next night on SmackDown, she says, you know who I'm going to face, Bayley? I'm going to face you, puts Bayley in the bank statement there. Bayley starts tapping and she says, that, she doesn't even care what Bayley says because she has to prove it to herself that she can beat Bayley at WrestleMania. And, Bayley could talk about how she's always been better than Sasha and nothing's going to change. And, yeah, they just have, I think, obviously no fans are going to be different, but their chemistry is amazing. I think they'll have a great match. And I would give Sasha Banks the win here. And, yeah, you can, build their feud towards their Hell in a Cell match later in the year, which was a great match. All right, next up is Goldberg versus John Cena. First time ever. Look, I think this would be a really fun match here. John Cena can return on SmackDown. He says he doesn't know what's next for me, And that's when Goldberg could come out. Goldberg could say, John Cena, I'm next. And that means you're next. And John Cena could, he starts nodding his head. He says, you know what, let's make it official. WrestleMania, me versus you. And just as, they shake hands, Cena hits him with the FU and does the you can't see me. So that's a nice build there. And, later, in a couple weeks later, Cena could be doing a in-ring interview. Goldberg could come from behind, hit Cena with the spear here. Yeah, this is a dream match we never really got. Cena could talk about how, Goldberg, his streak is impressive, but what's more impressive is his body of work, putting in over 18 years. And Goldberg could talk about how, that he crushed people much tougher than John Cena. And he's going to see, how good John Cena is. And John Cena could talk about, it's going to be like WCW, man. You're going to go down. So, yeah, you could have some nice heat there. And, yeah, I would give Cena the win here. He would, counter the spear into the AA. Cena gets the nice win here. This is a dream match. And after the match, they could shake hands. Yeah, nice, cool match here. All right. Next match, we got Bray Wyatt versus Braun Strowman. I know we got this, later on in the year. But this will not be for the Universal Championship because I have something different. But yeah, look, Bray can, the Fiend, he could try and, recruit Braun back to the family. And, Braun, he could join for a bit, but then he eventually turns on Bray Wyatt, and Braun can say, the reason I turned is last time I was in the family, you used me, and, you're a manipulator. And, and this is when the Fiend can, start haunting Alexa Bliss here. Obviously Braun and Alexa had a history from the mixed tag team tournament. And, Braun says, you made it personal, and at WrestleMania you're going to get these hands, and the Fiend starts laughing. And you could have, Braun trying to evade the Firefly Funhouse here. So, yeah, I think it's going to be a cool match. It'll be much better, obviously, with no titles on the line. Just a nice blood feud here. And you got to give the Fiend the win, because I have him winning the world title a couple months later. All right, next up is the only co-branded match. We got Undertaker on SmackDown versus AJ Styles from Raw. You could keep this, build the same here. You could have AJ Styles just talking trash about the Undertaker, trying to get a match out of him, saying, there's only one Phenom, and the Phenom isn't phenomenal, and that's AJ Styles. And you could have this, the shoot promos here where, AJ talking about, Undertaker's personal life, and Undertaker could throw shots as well, saying, his wife does the better Styles Clash. And, you could have Undertaker take out, like, the club in some weeks there, and the go-home show. You have Taker, get jumped by the club who make their return, kind of, building some heat there. And, I would keep this as a cinematic match. It's pretty ideal, actually, for Undertaker, his character, to go out in a cinematic match here. He came out as Biker Taker, which was pretty cool, American Badass. And, it was a great moment here. And, the WWE did the best with what they could do here. And, I just keep everything the same. AJ was great in this match. His facial expressions were hilarious. So was The Undertaker. So, yeah. All right, now we're in the main event for SmackDown for the WWE Universal Championship. Daniel Bryan versus Cesaro. So, obviously, Seth Rollins lost to Bray Wyatt, the Universal title. I would actually have Bryan defeat Bray. Thanks with help from Braun Strowman. So, I forgot to mention that Braun would cost Bray the Universal title. So, Daniel Bryan wins. And I would have Cesaro win the number one contenders elimination chamber match here. He can start at number one and, run the gauntlet. And, and coming into that, Cesaro could talk about how he's motivated to prove to himself that he could be a world champion. So there's a lot of hype going into chamber there. And, Bryan, he can come out and congratulate Cesaro and say, I'm really happy for you, Cesaro. We go a long way back, our history in Ring of Honor and stuff. But, I have to break it to you that, at WrestleMania, you're going to face the greatest wrestler in the world. And he slaps Cesaro. Cesaro starts getting mad, and he wants to punch Daniel Bryan. Daniel Bryan's like, yeah, that's the Cesaro I want at WrestleMania. You bring that Cesaro and you might have a chance. And, Bryan, the next week he can kind of, go back to his heelish ways and say, they said I was a B-plus player, but to be honest, Cesaro, I think Vince was right. Maybe you can't get the brass ring. And, you can just get some personal talk here where, Cesaro can talk about how, Daniel Bryan, you had your moment. I need my moment, and this is my year. So, I think you kind of build up Cesaro kind of like Chris Benoit, in 2004, just really driven to win. And, he's all about the wrestling. He doesn't care about the other things, And, I think they would have a great match. These two are, obviously know each other very well. And I think this was the time to give Cesaro the world title here. He's one of the guys who should have won a world title. I think this would have been a good time for him to win the world title. And then you could have him either drop it to Bray Wyatt or Roman Reigns in the summer. So, yeah, guys, that's the SmackDown side. So, yeah, guys, that is my card. Let me know what you guys think about it. I think I improved it a bit. I got, better women in this women's tag team match. Obviously, we lost Charlotte versus Rhea. But I think, we got two other good matches that we could have. We got the Viking Raiders Street Profits, fun tag match there. Lashley and Ricochet, slowly building up the Hurt Business. Becky and Shayna, but this time giving Shayna the win here, really capitalizing on her momentum. Edge and Seth, I think it would have been better than Edge and Orton. Obviously, that match was way too long, and Edge and Seth don't have to go that long, and the feud is already built there. Randy and Aliester Black, better than Aliester versus Bobby, because you got two similar characters here. Kevin Owens versus Triple H. I think Triple H should be on the card here. I'm sure he wasn't doing much. I'm sure he would have wanted to wrestle in front of a crowd, but I still think the storyline with him and Kevin Owens makes sense. And Brock and Drew's, it was what it was, but it was a great moment for Drew. Taker, AJ, got to keep that the same. Obviously the ladder match was really good for the SmackDown tag titles, but I just wasn't a fan of, singles wrestlers fighting for the tag belts. So, I kind of put the Heavy Machinery, Mandy Rose stuff into the tag team. So, obviously we got, and then we got NXT classics like Sami, Nakamura, Bayley, and Sasha Banks. I think would be better than what we got here. Big Show and Baron Corbin. It's a cool match. Nice way to get Big Show on the card. And yeah, Goldberg, John Cena, we got a dream match we never got. And Bray versus Braun, we got a blood feud that, we should have got. We did get, but I think, without the title. And obviously the main event with Daniel Bryan and Cesaro from the SmackDown side, I think is great because, you got Daniel Bryan, the already established, underdog star versus, kind of the new underdog star. So, and obviously this would have been a great match as well. So yeah, guys, let me know what you guys think about my card. Obviously, the situation was ideal, but WWE did the best they can. And yeah, let me know what you guys think about my card. I'll run down the card for you all right now. All right, starting with the Raw matches, we got the Women's Tag Team Championship, the Kabuki Warriors defending against the Queen Charlotte, and NXT Women's Champion Rhea Ripley for the Raw Tag Team Championships. The Viking Raiders defending against the Street Profits for the United States Championship. Bobby Lashley representing the Hurt Business versus Ricochet for the Raw Women's Championship. The man Becky Lynch versus the Queen of Spades, Shayna Baszler, in a non-sanctioned match. The Rated R Superstar Edge versus the Architect Seth Rollins. The Viper Randy Orton versus Aliester Black. The Prize Fighter Kevin Owens versus the Game Triple H. And for the WWE World Championship, the Beast Brock Lesnar versus the Scottish psychopath Drew McIntyre. And we got the Boneyard match, the Phenom, the Undertaker versus the phenomenal AJ Styles. And on the SmackDown side, we got for the SmackDown Tag Team Championship, Dolph Ziggler and John Morrison defending against Heavy Machinery. For the Intercontinental Championship, Sami Zayn defending against the King of Strong Style, Shinsuke Nakamura. Baron Corbin Open Challenge. We got the Big Show versus Baron Corbin. For the SmackDown Women's Championship, Bayley versus the Boss, Sasha Banks. Then we got John Cena, the leader of the C Nation, versus Goldberg. We got Bray Wyatt, the Eater of Worlds, the Fiend, versus the Monster Among Men, Braun Strowman. And in the SmackDown main event for the WWE Universal Championship, we got Daniel Bryan defending against Cesaro. So yeah, guys, that is my card. Let me know what you guys think. Like, comment, subscribe. Appreciate the support. Catch you on the next one. Peace.